probably be a lag. Welcome again to the Motley Croc Show. It is September 12th, 2024. Seems like I just keep speaking those numbers over and over again every single time I log in and out. But let's go back behind the main stage here. Let me grab up my comments page. Let me bring on the Manic Satanic. And boom. How you doing? How do you like those little circles?
I like them. They're very circly.
You know, they give me some new options once in a while when we're streaming. So I figured I would just, kind of add them up, and see what.
Absolutely.
How's everything sounding? Pretty good? No glitching?
Yeah. No echoing, no problems.
This is kind of cool, man. The circles are kind of neat.
I like the circles. It's a good change up.
Yeah, it kind of makes it look nice. We all belong in circles, man.
Hell yeah.
They put pentagrams in circles.
That's true. I didn't get a chance to hang up my new neon last night.
Oh, I know. I saw that when you sent, bro. That is sick. I don't even want to talk about it. I want you to just have it up one time.
Yeah, I will. I'm not at work till it's up. Hopefully next week.
It'll be good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to be traveling, like I said, again.
Oh, that's right. 2 weeks.
See, Brittany said, I got it. Getting ready to Google it now. Yep, we're going to be gone again. We're going to be leaving on the 14th. But just remember that we're going to be tomorrow. I'm just telling the people again because I'll probably say it throughout the show just because we're early. But we're going to be at the Vintage Tattoo Shop in Orlando. You can look up, their page at the Vintage Tattoo Shop, and you'll be able to find that. But we're all going to be there. We're going to take some animals out there, hang out with Tom and his wife Bree, and they've got a big turnout coming out. So I'm kind of excited to see what's going to go on. But we're going to be out there. And Justin said he would pop in, but that's like you might just hold your breath.
Right, he'll be in Orlando sometime in the next year. So
yeah, exactly. He'll make it. He'll get to the parking lot next year.
For sure.
But we have that coming up. And so any events for you, any of your snake stuff, you're going to be doing anything with the
yeah, I was on the wait list for the Tampa show in November. I just got an email today that I had tables, so I'll be doing that. And I'm waiting to hear on Lakeland next weekend. So hopefully that'll go. I had I did Kissimmee this week, just one day. They called me on Sunday or Saturday night and wanted me to come up Sunday because somebody no-showed. I had a good show though. It was a solid show.
So did you do well?
Yeah.
What's up, Bill?
Well. I sold like 4 or 5 animals, and then a couple people put stuff on hold for the Lakeland show. So I'm going to go up there anyway and deliver if I don't vend. So yeah, all is right with the world, man.
I just heard one of those. You ever see those little memes where you'll see like a little person running down a boat ramp, and then they jump in the water and goes poop.
I have not seen those, but
that's what happens, and that's what happens when Brittany just popped in the back. So I'm going to bring in Brittany in the bubble.
Yeah.
How do you like these bubbles?
Look at these little bubbles. They're interesting.
I know.
It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
We're doing well.
Yeah.
So like Brady Bunchy. I don't know.
It's a story. Oh, can I move it around?
There,
a lovely
right?
lady.
It is.
Can I move you up? Oh,
how strange.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you back down here, B, so you can be the center of attention.
We should do like a
center of attention.
Look at how do you like that?
Whoa.
Come on, people.
Super close up.
That is an extreme close up.
Sometimes they do this too, and they add it, so I can put like Brittany over here, and we can be like, "Hey, what's up, Brittany?
Hi, how's it going, everybody?"
I'm sure people are getting tired of that right now, so we'll just go back to the big bubbles. No, we won't do that.
Hey, Michelle. Are we all going?
Hey, Michelle, what's up? No, we're there. We're back. We're in the group layout. That's cool. Yeah, he was just we were just talking about being at the Vintage tomorrow. Brittany will be there.
I will be there. I'm going to be there a little bit later in the day just so that I can get my kid from school and I don't have to worry about it, and then I can shoot down. So I'm excited.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Most didn't have to work. I'd come by.
It's there till 10 o'clock. So for those of you that want to get out there, it's all day.
Until tomorrow because so we'll see how it goes.
They're going to have some food trucks out there. They're going to have there's like a botanical store that's into the same plaza that they're in. So it's like a plant place. So they're going to have like an event there where they have all these cool plants and things. So it's kind of like just a big gathering of the hoodlums, and the hood rats.
I know this dirt bag is going to be working.
Yeah, but that's okay, man.
Saving lives.
You're tattooed and employed. So I've been painting this weekend. One of my rooms, so I've been just behind everything, and then we finally get the email, stuff that we have to take with us for this last little thing we're doing. But we are starting to now have, as we all know, it's really big, and we're having the meetings now for promotion. So next week we'll be able to do that, and I think once we get back, the following show we should be able to start talking about what we're doing, and then we'll have some places for everybody to go to. Those of you that obviously aren't in the circle of the Motley Croc that's, part of the production. But I'm not talking to anybody on this panel, just the people that chime in. So everybody's going to know what we got going on and what we're doing here pretty soon. It's like this close. And once they give me that, we can start talking about it. We can really kind of explain it. And then, once it's really wide open, we'll be able to go into a lot more detail with stuff. It's going to be pretty cool, especially after you guys get to see all the work we've been putting into it and watching it come out. It's going to be pretty cool. So, portholes, kind of nautical. Yes, Dad. That's pretty cool. For those of you who don't know, Bill L is my father. He comes in once in a while and supports the show. And I appreciate that.
Right. You got
so other than that,
pretty much.
I've got one of the original guys that used to come on the show once in a while with me, way back in the day when we very, very first started. I've spent a day with, and so I have him with me, and he's kind of sitting next to me. But if those of you know, so Jake's with me, and we did a whole episode on dick pics, and Jake was with us on that one.
Oh my
dick show!
God,
Yep.
That was a long time ago.
Nope. Nate and I were
Holy
the
moly.
we started running it off the top, but I haven't got a hold of Nate yet to see what he's got going on. But Jake and I were just talking about that. I gotta reach out to him again and see what's up, and maybe bring an old Rumbler back in here and there and see what he's got going.
Rumbler.
Nice.
Rumbler.
People get busy. People get busy. But yeah, we got Jake here, and he's kind of hanging out with me offset. So it's kind of nice.
That's an oldie. That's an oldie but a goodie episode.
Yes, it's very old because we have some ammunition, ladies, that you have sent into us from some of these clowns out there. And
God, yes.
And I saw some of these pictures of you guys that I personally know of you walk around with your schlong out, dude. Just keep it up. Keep it up. I'll be putting them right up here. It's going to be the backdrop of the Motley Croc show. You fucking
nice.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a whole thing about like we were the discussion was, Jeff, I don't know if you've seen the episode or remember it, but it was very, very long time ago. It was probably 5 years ago. And yeah, probably at least 5 years ago, right? I would think, because
before I even joined the show.
Jake still lived in Florida, and he's lived in Alabama for quite some time now. So I would think. Yeah. So, anyways, with that being said, it's just we were talking about how guys think it's okay to send a picture of themselves to someone random. Like I understand if you're having fun with your partner and that's between you two, but just to randomly go on and say, "Oh, you look pretty nice on the internet. Let me send you a picture of Hank. He's got one eye. I haven't had a chance to trim him up a little, so he looks like he's been out, chopping sticks. But let me get this. So we just didn't understand why that happened.
It's the new wolf whistle, man. It's the new construction workers whistling when somebody walks by. They just send them dick pics like, "You're pretty. Here's my dick."
Go. The wolf whistle, aka the cat call.
Yep. Oh, don't talk about cats, man. People are eating that shit.
I know, cats and dogs. Oh, I was gonna, I'm very lenient to you folks on Instagram. I do have some videos of that, of them eating cats. It's fucking unbelievable. It's not something I would do, but if you're out in the middle of the street, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do, I guess. But
people here.
But, yeah. There was some. I've got some. I'll send you some stuff.
Oh, the lady. There was one lady that ate a cat, but she was.
No, it was a group of guys, and they were cooking it, and I can't even get into it, man. And these people came around. "This is my business. What are you doing?" And they yelled at them, and they had this can going, and they were cooking them. And I used to get all those videos sent to me before Flavio's father passed away, because he would send them to Flavio, and I would just get everything. And Jake would definitely send me some things. I'm like.
Yeah,
now I'm gonna have to eat a Xanax to look at that. God damn! What?
Things that he sent me, because I saw way too many fucking big black dicks, man.
Yeah,
it was just
a lot of that stuff too.
It was like an onslaught. I felt like one of the women we're talking about that gets the random dick pic.
It was bad. So then it turned into a lot of different things. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff, and I'm just trying not to touch on topics in the show in the world, in the world that we have right now. Because we want to be away from it, dude. God, everywhere you go, it's this and that, and it's and we all know what's going on, and we can see it very clearly. And over time, dude, the government will have to stand down, and we'll start doing our own thing again. It's just going to have to come to that. It's going to have to come to that. I mean, it's really what it's going to have to come to.
Anarchy, baby.
That's right. It will end up coming to that, because this outreach of government and making it like an HBO special or a Netflix special is just, there's a lot of things going on. And I was expecting, how I feel about the way people go into debates. And so I'll say this: I did watch the debates. I watched both people talk.
Me too.
This time, this is the time that I watched when Trump spoke, and he did not speak like I thought he was going to speak. Like I really thought he was going to be a fucking just an animal, like he used to be. But he was definitely different.
Let's be honest about it, man. He really did.
He was really different. Kamala looked like she didn't have no idea what was going on. And, I think if you're going to, flip around just to get a vote, I think you got to really we got to get those types of people out of office, and we just have to go back to taking care of our own counties.
Kamala, they're all the same, dude.
They're just
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
They're just it's just terrible in the world right now.
There's only one person to vote for in 2024. Hardcore hog nose.
There you go.
The bottom.
So
I Bigfoot, but you pick yours. We all pick our own.
Bigfoot.
I say Bigfoot for.
I'll vote for Bigfoot. Bigfoot is my vice president.
There you go.
There you go. I like where this is going.
Nobody's more secret than Bigfoot.
That's right. That's true. That's very true.
But I'm excited. I'm actually sitting next to a Marine, and who's actually done time overseas, and been through a lot of shit. And I know how those countries work. And if we get a woman president, we're gonna have a really good time because they think women are just absolute shit and should not be speaking. So that's going to be a really good thing for us. In as you well know how they treat them over there, and we could go into some stuff with the way what this man has had to see in his career being a Marine, but those people were a laughing stock because we have some mediocrity going on in the world today. But I think, it's going to be a tough one because those people are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, all of them, especially when it comes to women. They do not treat women the way they should be treated. Nope. And they think of them as beneath them. So you put a woman in power somewhere up here, it's just going to be. Now, make no mistake about what I'm saying here, because I know people are their blood's boiling. This motherfucker said that. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying that a woman couldn't be a president.
No, you're talking about
I'm not
other
saying
cultures.
that a woman could not run the president. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying these other cultures that still live in the Stone Ages, that go to Disney World and khaki shorts and $600 eel skin sandals, while their women are dressed in black garbage bags with eye holes cut out of them. Let's just be real, right? And do you think that they're going to respect anything we have going on? And they don't even care enough about women. So you're going to put one on top. I'm just telling you how they look at it. Now that's not
on their heels, man.
It's just it's not a thing. I mean, it's not right. It's not right. But so it doesn't matter what we do, I guess is what I'm saying. We're going to run into so many fucking problems.
I agree.
Because we're off the tracks right now. We are so off the tracks. And I mean, we're totally out of whack. We've got everything out of whack because we've taken too much away from the people, I think, Jeff.
I agree. And I think that politics now is more about why the other person's bad instead of why somebody's good. I mean,
100%.
It's ridiculous. And I think that's what made him look worse than anything during that debate, is that every answer, it started with a shot and never got answered. She didn't answer all the questions either, but
that's my point. I mean, I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Before we get into cooler topics such as animal telepathy, I think that especially when you're a young person, like if Jeff and I are doing the same thing, right? And if you're part of any organization, the military, a motorcycle club, or any type of organization, voting is important. Yep. And when you have candidates going up, if we're members of the same thing, which is the United States of America, on both sides, we should be up there debating properly on how we speak to each other. And I'm not saying it was right on either side. I'm not even talking about Trump or Kamala. I'm just talking about two human beings. So when you're both throwing mud at each other, we look childish. And that's what I mean. Like that, we don't have that integrity anymore to not do that on either side. I'm not saying that Trump doesn't run his mouth, because he does. And I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that these people going back and forth at each other, that's not, to me, you're confusing what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a group of people that have a common understanding to vote. And then when you have these people trashing each other, you're distracted from what really matters, because now we're saying who can throw the most mud. It's like a Jerry Springer show. It's not supposed to be that way.
Right. And I just think that I'm never going to vote for somebody because they're not somebody else. That's what it's all about. Vote for me because I'm not her. Vote for me because I'm not him. And
you're right. That's what I mean.
These are my virtues. These are my values. this is what I'm going to do for the country, you know, and it doesn't matter what your religion, your gender, your sexual orientation. It's a matter of, this is what I'm going to do for you. You know, I
Yep.
mean, it's really, you know, crazy. And you know, to say, hey, I did this for the economy, or I did that, instead of saying, well, they're aborting live babies, and, you know, he said this about the military, all this stupid shit, man. It really is.
I agree. And I think what you said was another thing that I think about those types of debates is you have to have people that are in there that are non-biased doing the interviews, right? So
Yeah,
you should have a libertarian sitting in there. They should have no feelings whatsoever towards Kamala or Trump or
yeah,
Biden.
but there's nobody in the world like that. Libertarians alike, you know. I'm a registered libertarian.
I mean, I think it's funny because I don't. If I was asking questions, I just want to ask questions. You know who'd be a good interviewer? Flavio, because he doesn't care.
Yeah, but Flavio would be the center of the debate.
He doesn't give a fuck about either of them. He doesn't care. He would just ask the answers that are on the sheet, and he would say, "This is what we need." Okay, I see them. There's two of them on there.
Yes,
one would sling at Kamala, one would sling at Trump, and it's like, that's not your job. You're not supposed to do that to either of them. You're supposed to ask a simple question and cut the time. Just like when we go to the commissioner meetings.
Answering the questions, that was the problem. Is that they ask a question and then it's all about the other candidate. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. So then they go all. It was a mess. It was a mess.
You know, there was. I mean, honestly, I don't like them, either of them. But you know, I think
we don't have a choice.
I think
we're on this burning train.
And you know, I don't know, man. I think that there's only one clear loser in 2024, and that's the American people. No matter who wins, we lose. Period. You know,
isn't that the way it always is, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, there's it blows my mind that the way parties pick candidates, you know, they don't pick them because they are good candidates or they're good for the country. They pick them because they think that they're going to be able to sway the American people enough that they're going to win. You know, I mean, that's the biggest problem right there.
See, for me, I don't ever have a problem with if somebody brings up politics around me, because I'm so interested in the behavior of living things that it intrigues me how people act. I don't really look at it one way or the other. I just think that there's negatives and good on both sides, and I think that there's no way to iron it out because we've made it such a media thing, such a social media thing, such a download today, watch this, the super edited version of watch Kamala give the smackdown, watch Trump kick him in the Croc, and that kind of stuff. I think is, you know, and you're making, you know, it's just different. I remember being a kid, it was just different. It didn't matter what you thought, it was just different. And I've seen those before. Debates used to be boring when I was a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, they were.
You know, they were talking about things that didn't matter to us.
And they're still talking about things that don't matter to us, each other, you know? I mean, there was nothing, you know, I still don't know where either of them stand on anything, period. You know, except cat eating. Crazy.
Eat some cats.
That's right.
The one takeaway for me, though, was the valiant points of like, here's what I'm going to do for you if I'm a president. But then you look at the one candidate, they've been vice president for already 3.5 years and they haven't done anything, and they have the ability to do some of the fixing right now.
What she's done or hasn't done. I mean, no vice president's ever been on the forefront of the news, or, you know, do we know what Pence did or what Bush did or what Gore did, or, you know what I mean? We don't know. They don't really talk about what vice presidents do. You know, and you know, we know that neither Biden nor Trump really did anything significant for the country. Period. You know, I mean, they say, oh, you know, this one closed the border, this one opened the border. It's just all bullshit that gets slung around. It's stupid.
Yeah, that's true. No, don't discuss issues and no middle ground. That's true, Judy. That's true.
And
you have to hate one or the other.
You do. And then also it's like social media does not help because some of it's funded from one side and the other. So you don't ever know what truth is that you're getting. And they've been caught multiple times. And they've also been caught multiple times showing old footage from old news coverage from like major situations that have happened. And then they're playing it now as actual footage like happening right now. And then it's checked and it's like, oh my gosh, it's true, Matthew. You know. So you don't know what to believe. And unfortunately, we live in a society where if people see it on TikTok or they see it on Instagram or they see it on social media or they Google something and the New York Times says it's fact, they don't actually do the research to find out any more deeper than that. They go by the tagline or the headline. They don't realize the manipulation game that's clickbaiting. And it's
Yep.
kind of sad. And it's really like one of the situations where it's we really want you to hate one and the other. And there's I mean, I saw a lot of valid points, but I was really disgusted and disappointed with the mediators. I personally don't think they did their job well at all, and I don't think it was fair to either party. I was very disappointed with ABC that night. Completely disappointed with them as mediators.
Well, what's interesting about that is we've talked about it before, and Jeff and I were talking about it. It comes down to a fact that there's one person that owns all the media.
Yeah.
And they play it. They're like, I'm like, hey Jeff, hey, so tonight, make sure that we hear Kamali saying this, and then I'll get Trump to do this, and we'll laugh about it later. You see him get pissed off?
You know who really runs the country, Judy? Judy had made a salient point that it's the billionaires and the big corporations on both sides. They're the ones that truly run the country. They're the puppet masters,
Oh yeah, yeah. Big business is the puppet masters for sure. They pay the media what to do. Most of TV media and what we do. Like I have to pay for this. Nobody reads the campaign policy. That's
because
true.
they're bullshit anyway.
That's very true.
And
so yes, BlackRock and Soros. So they run everything.
Well,
I mean, they own everything, man. They're big business.
Yeah,
they control what comes and goes, and that's where it starts.
They all do. It's all a matter of who piles the most money on one side. I don't feel like any side's better than the other side because it's just all bullshit.
I think Soros and all them aren't on any side. They're on just whoever they can take money from and make.
I really do.
That's not. I don't even think they give a shit. They're like, oh, go down there and talk about homosexuals and cutting dicks off and eating cats and being a purple people eater or a 10-year-old person that wants to shit in a cat box and call themselves a Persian kitty. That's all funny to them. They don't care because they don't live in that world. They're above it.
Yeah,
they're sitting in multi-billion-dollar properties on $8 billion yachts, doing whatever the fuck they want. They're almost they're immortal god is what they are, and they control the world. The sheiks, they meet them. We know the Middle East meets up with those. They're all together. Like we come to the Croc show. The people who can't stand us, there's people who like us, but we don't care about what they're doing. Because we're doing it, they're just so level up. But I tell people, look at companies. When you work for a company like Walmart, it's a big company, makes a lot of money, right? Yeah. They treat their people like absolute garbage, and then they hire garbage human beings, right? And then they wonder why everything goes down, and they don't care. They don't care about the consumer anymore. It's not how it started. You look at how businesses started years in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. You started a business back then. You wanted it to make something. You were friendly to everybody. You could go down to New York. You can look at the Jewish delis. You can look at the Greeks down at the sponge docks and how they start their businesses. And it's, come on in, have some family. Here's a sample. Now it's who can we rip off? We don't care about the consumer. We'll hire a piece of shit. They'll steal from us. We'll put them in jail, ruin their lives and their children's lives because we're just going to keep this idiocracy of breeding garbage in the world. And that's what they do. And they sell you garbage that's made by sweatshops with children in it somewhere in another country.
Yeah.
We don't see any of the shit real anymore.
No,
we just see what we're shown.
It's all behind a veil. Everybody's wearing a costume and playing a part, and it's sad. And I really am terrified at what's going to happen in November, no matter who wins. I think that we're just going to become more polarized and
yep, it's going to be it's you're right, Jeff. I agree. We're going into like a fucking Bermuda Triangle at this point. We have no idea what could happen because you have extremists on both sides that overreact to everything, and you have people acting out of context. And I'll tell you this: I can take a lot of shit, right? Like I can be vulgar. I love comedy. I'll get on the stage. I'll rip on anything. I'll get a tattoo of an alligator biting a kid's head off. I don't give a fuck. But I went and saw Beetlejuice last night. The second one, outstanding, by the way. Had a great time.
Did?
Very good.
I fucking loved it. One thing I liked about it is there was no CGI. They did it exactly like 1988. So all the critters were like that. And I was like, this is fucking cool. Really cool. But in the beginning of that, when you're waiting for the show to start, this Walmart commercial comes on about these children talking to their parents like they're kind of like You don't know the words anymore. You don't know who we are or whatever, right? And they have all these little children dancing, in my opinion. And let me re-elaborate myself again. I'm extremely open to a lot of things, right? Like I'm not one-sided. I'm very open to a lot of things. But these kids were dancing in provocative fashions, man. And it went on for like 3-4 minutes. And I remember I was looking over, like, we're looking at, like, these are kids. What are they doing here? What are they promoting here? You know? And it was all in there. And it's like,
Capitalism.
you have a bunch of adults watching it. It's really fucked up, Jeff. It's like really strange that the way they were having these kids, like this, kids don't dance like that. This is not a, you know, it's not cute. You know, girls doing that type of movements with their hips and stuff like that at that age is that's a sexual dance, right? That's a sexual move. And I was like a little blown away by
it, though. You know, it's a dance movement, I imagine, before it was, you know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, if you go back to like the lambada and shit, where they would like move and they would do that type of stuff, or they would bend over and twerk. Twerking is not for little kids. That I don't want to see a little kid twerk. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's you know, that fucking hump thing they do. I'm just, and they gradually do this stuff. And, you know, I sit with Flavia and I do a lot of research, right? We go back, we talk to a lot of different professors and a lot of different people that are in academia, just to pick things up. You talk about ads and stuff and how things are slowly put in to slowly be more and more okay. And so you start seeing all these little things and a lot of different things to make it more okay. And some things just aren't okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care about, you could be trans or a homosexual, straight. Your wife can dress as a pony. You could be a barbarian and butt fucker. That's great. That's cool for you. I don't care about that.
Well, let me
but
take
when
notes.
you get into kids, don't take the interest away. Don't take the innocence away from the kids yet. You know, we all deserve that as kids. That's my opinion. That's not because I'm Gen X. I just think all kids deserve.
Well, Gen Xers took their own innocence away, so we just went out on our own, man. You got to admit there was a lot of cocaine around in the 80s. That's for shit, sure.
Yeah, and I think that's. Yeah, after 12 years over Cuties.
That was another show. I remember that show. Hi, Heidi.
Yeah. And so, hey, what's up? And when you put that in that type of stuff, Jeff, I think it's wrong. I mean, I don't want to come around your daughters and be like, oh, Ruby should be out there twerking, Jeff. That would make me sick. If I saw that, I would fucking be like, cut it out. I'd put a paper bag over or something until I got Jeff. We're taking the innocence away from the little guys, and you're making it an okay thing, and it's not an okay thing. I'm not talking about any other politics other than a child shouldn't look like an adult.
A child shouldn't be involved with adult things. You as an adult, if you want to do something to yourself, if you want to live your life free of whatever you want, that's up to you. And I applaud you for
Fruit Loops on your body and let peacocks
peck it off. I don't care. Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
For true, because it's like, if you're an adult and that's what you are, being true to yourself, and that's who you are, and you want to go against it, go for it. I don't care. Power to you. Don't follow the fish in the sea. Be your own fish. Great. Don't do it to kids. That's where my beef comes from. There's no reason. And the reason why they're doing it is an agenda. It's an agenda to bring it in slowly and make, and I hate to say it, but make the creeps, and you're creeps out there. If you're into little kids, you're a creep. Sorry, I said it. Don't care. I won't take it back.
Well, I remember what just happened at Disney. You told me about. They caught that man for 13 years photographing people's young children, certain specific looks of children, Jeff.
Yeah.
They caught him at Disney World. And he was making AI pornographic child porn with those people's children's faces.
Children,
I understand.
Little kids.
That to me is not acceptable. That to me is death penalty. You don't get to go to court and sit there and stuff. That's death penalty. We caught you. You have it here. There's a video looking at you. You just get a shot to the head. It's done. You're gone.
Yeah, but what if they were wrongly convicted or something? You got to go to court.
You're not wrongly convicted when you open up the computer and his fucking face is looking right at it, and they're sitting there doing it.
I hear you.
And he's already been stung. That's how they caught him. They had a guy like you and me buy some shit. I read the story. Doing some stuff. They tracked him down. He was encrypted, and they caught him. That's it.
I absolutely agree with that, Matt. On the other side, on the flip side, you can't just hide things from children because that's going to make them want to do it more.
I'm not talking about hiding things. I'm talking about putting it in big commercials for people. What you choose to do with your children as a parent and expose them to and help them get through, that's your job as a parent. That belongs to the household, right? But when you put it in a commercial and you're selling something, and not everybody. There's not a lot of girls out there that have solid father figures, Jeff, like you, that are there for their kids no matter what. And they're seeing this, they go, "Oh, that's going to make me be cool," or because they're selling this. It just leads to a lot of things, and I don't get it. I don't understand why they're doing it. It's kids.
I don't understand why. I agree with you. I don't understand why the urgency, or what is the big deal to get little kids involved in extreme adult situations. And I'm talking about,
you know what I
kids.
think?
Like, kids under 10 shouldn't be involved in, I mean, honestly, under 13, until they're a teenager, they should not be involved in any adult situations that are mentally not suitable. You're damaging their brain. And if you know anything about the brain, you know that there are levels of adult things that happen at a certain part of our time because of puberty. So you cannot show these things. It messes them up. And I'm sorry, that is the state that we're in right now. Too many people are pushing their agenda on these little tiny children. And it's confusing, and it's not them.
I'm talking about putting it in for people to have to sit and watch it to make it okay.
The parents' fault. That's the parents' fault. You're allowing your child to be filmed to do sexual dances in front of national coverage in AMC theaters. So
it was enough to where I was like, because I've seen a lot of shit. People know me. I've seen a lot of shit. I'm not normal, and I was still kind of like, I feel a little strange watch. I feel like I have to go, wash myself off.
You felt like a creeper.
What I'm saying? Like I did. I felt like I was. I'm watching this girl's like fucking 9 years old. What are we looking at here? I'm like, this is uncomfortable.
That's disgusting.
Because that just
shouldn't happen.
And maybe it was just me. Maybe I perceived it wrong. I perceived it, but I'm just saying that in general.
If you perceived it that way, then it must have been pretty bad.
Well, if you see it, you'd understand. I mean, you understand. I'm not saying that we hide everything from our children or not let them see the world or understand topics. I'm just saying that
there's just
that's for adults. That show it was 10 o'clock at night when we saw the movie. Little kids aren't in there till weeknight. That commercial was geared more. I understand how marketing works extremely well. I know what marketing is, the demographics they go for, and what they do. And people are going to see that. They take that demographic with that to get them to shop at Walmart. I just, there was so much to it. And you just really have to see how it's done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what they're doing with that angle, because you just understand how it works. And that's why I said it's the little bit of stuff they show us over and over again. Like the original movie Alien that came out in 1979 in today's standards would be rated PG.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
But as a little kid, I remember when the VHS came, actually the Betamax was out. We were at my mom's brother's house.
Betamax.
And we had the little beta player, and his dad had the big screen, and we put it in. And now I see him like, oh my God. But when I saw that, I was like, I was fucking terrified, dude. Like your guts are coming out. I didn't know how to process that. I was a little kid. Now it's like, oh, whatever. Now you show it to a little kid, they're like, oh, I do that in Halo every day. We gut them, we cut off their penises and pull them through their belly buttons. I'm like, woo, totally different. So it's just a little at a time, which that's fine too. But just let kids be kids first, If you want to be a girl, be a tomboy, go be a tomboy.
I mean, but wasn't that like the part of like growing up is like the excitement of like, I'm going to go look at this nudie mag when you're like a 12-year-old boy. Cause you're like, mom and dad don't have this at home. I'm going to go sneak and see this. Ha ha ha. Like that's the fun stuff about growing up. But like 6-year-olds and 5-year-olds, they don't need to be seeing that shit.
But they see it anyway.
Yeah, Matthew.
The internet and phones and
not if you regulate it properly, they do not.
But you can't regulate them when they're with other kids. They have computers.
Yeah, it's bad.
To see it. We're not.
So it's bad, and they know that.
At all.
I get that, but if you have a good relationship with your kids will come back and ask you the questions, and then you can properly talk to your kids about it, but not encourage them and purposely expose them to it to where it's like being heavily pushed on. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like it's not. You don't blind them from it, but you're like, it's not really. You got like my kid. He knows I don't say curse words because curse words are not appropriate for my age. But when I'm an adult or when I'm a teenager, I can say curse words. So it's not like he knows it's not tempting because he knows one day he's going to get to say it. But he's like, I'm too young right now. It doesn't make sense for me to say it. It's a bad word for my age. He's 7. Be 7. Yeah. You don't need to curse right now. But he knows that when he's a teenager,
because his mom has a shit mouth.
I get yelled at a lot. Mom.
Ruby asked permission to be like, can I say a bad word? I'm like, yeah, I suppose it depends, because now I got to know what she's saying a
Yeah.
bad word about, and she knows that they're bad words, and she doesn't say them in school or to adults. But every once in a while,
I gave my kids a free day.
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
cool though,
you're both
Jeff. That's
allowed to
cool.
say one
I
curse
mean,
word because I said one in the
you know,
car.
she's
Even with
definitely a little bit more cognitively mature than a lot of kids her age, so she understands a lot.
yeah.
It's I've come to realization of the fact that there's nothing in the world you can hide from kids these days, no matter how you can lock them in the basement of the
Couldn't
house.
even do that to us, Jeff.
What's that?
Couldn't even do it to us.
No, oh my God. Well, we did it on our own. My parents were just oblivious. I was just out. I was like, yeah, I'm going out to study, and I'd be sneaking into bars at 17 or 18 years old. Or it's a lot easier to be a dirtbag, a young dirtbag back in the 80s, because nobody cared. It was up until the inception of AIDS. It was, it was teenage sexual revolution. I graduated high school right when it was really starting to come to the forefront, and so I had to live through that through college, and but I just think that the trick to me as a parent is to make sure that my kids know that they can talk to me about absolutely anything. Things they've seen, feelings, thoughts they had, it doesn't matter. They can talk to me about anything, and I will never ever judge my children for that.
That's what it should be.
And that's how it should be.
To tell their parents.
If more parents were like that, we wouldn't have the problems, man.
Right. But
these little lost souls.
If exactly, and if we drill it into these kids' heads that, this is so taboo, it's not even supposed to be something you're going to talk about, we can scare them into not talking about it with the people that they really should be talking about it with, to their
100%.
parents, to counselors or whoever,
Not with their dirty friend named Jeremy. Yeah.
Right. And I was going to say, I remember when I was probably around 8, me and my friend Jay, there was this old tree house in the woods, and we found a lady that the woods belonged to, and we were like, hey, can we use this? She didn't have any kids anymore. She was pretty old. And we went up there, and it was like a bunch of porn just everywhere, from her kids. And I was like, all right, which later ended up buried in a box in the woods, because now that was our porn.
Yeah, exactly. Because your kid, bro, that's the way it was back in the day. That's hilarious.
And it was a lot harder in the 80s probably to ask your parents about sex than it is now.
Yeah. Oh,
I really
absolutely.
That my girls know they can talk to me about absolutely anything, no matter what.
Which is good. That's how it should be.
Right. And I would never judge or put them down or punish them for coming forward. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. But it should be that way, because like you said, you as a parent would rather them come to you.
Oh, absolutely.
To hear it from you than to get it from somebody that doesn't know them, maybe doesn't understand what they really mean by their feelings, and give them the wrong information to where they could come to you and be like, no, I know I can talk to my dad. And if I need help, or if I need encouragement, or, hell, even if your kid's being bullied, I don't want my kid going to some counselor. I want my kid to come to me. Do what?
I'm just kidding.
What'd you say?
I'm not above smacking a 12-year-old that bullies my kid. But
amen.
You shouldn't be.
I got my first wife, even though we don't really get along, when somebody fucks with one of the girls, she'll go, and she doesn't go to the teacher, she doesn't go to the counselor, she goes straight to the bully. And lets him have it, and that's that. And it never happens again. She's a scary, scary woman.
Here's something that I have an issue with in the world right now for me.
Thanks,
and then we'll move on. I want to talk to what Brittany was talking about too. Flo said, it's been listening for a while. I take on a vehicle. You all are base. Come by and hop on one of my panels sometime. No, just reach out to me. Just send me a message.
Thanks, Flo.
Let me talk to you.
I'm definitely not base, but it's all good. I'll come on.
What is that? I'm sorry that I'm going to ask this question, but what does that mean?
Flow state. I'm going to let you go with that, because it's your context.
What does you all are based? I'm sorry, I'm old school. I don't know a lot of the terms, so forgive me. That might even be an old term. I don't know.
Right. It's based is being pretty much married to a specific ideology or principle. So I guess, yeah, in a lot of ways, thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. In a lot of ways,
Oh,
You said
thank
groovy.
you.
I love it.
God, I
I
can't
Get
hear
got
that
you,
back
Jeff.
up for Matthew.
What's
I
that?
got you, Jeff.
Yeah, I really can't see the word groovy without thinking about Bruce Campbell and Evil Dead, and Army of Darkness. That came
Yeah,
from
right.
on the thing there.
I know,
Yeah.
that's so true. I love it. No, that's cool, Flow State. We'd be glad to do that
I
for sure,
totally
man.
get
Just
it,
reach
though.
out to me, man. I'll do something with you for sure. And Matthew, that's cool, man. And you do need people like that because it is hard to talk to. What I'm going to say is that because I want Brittany to start talking about telepathy for the rest of the show here. We're good. We're only 9 minutes over 8:30. But listen, we're also made to be so sensitive and upset at everything we say.
Yep.
And sometimes I say what people think, and they laugh. They're like, I was thinking the same thing. But everybody's too scared to say it. All right? There are just things that are just funny, dude. And it could be at someone else's expense, and I don't give a fuck. And you know why I don't care? Because it's happened to me before, and I was at someone else's expense. And it's okay. We're too sensitive about everything. We can't make a joke anymore. There's no comedy. You can't take the realism out of anything. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If we got to stop being so sensitive and giving words so much. He said this to me, and I'm really hurt now. Okay.
Yeah, I can.
That's you. You're a victim.
And
the problem is these victims breed victims. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever just looked at a family and was like, what the fucking God went on in that house, dude? What the fuck am I looking at? You ever thought that? Any one of you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. Or when someone shows you their kid and it's ugly as shit and you have to lie about it?
Dude, all the time. Like, man, you just want to be like,
that boy's so cool. Baby. He's so beautiful. I'm like, oh my
yeah.
fucking, what the fuck is that thing? It looks like a toad. But
you're expected to say something nice, you know? Oh,
right. And
2 years.
And I see these people that just destroy their bodies, man. Like destroy them. Like it's like you can't even believe that the bone structure can hold this atrocity up anymore. And then the problem that I don't like is I look down and you see their children and they're destroying them the same way. And that's just not fair.
Hey, that's job security.
It's not fair. It's just not fair. And
oh my God, Jeff.
See, that's why we're on the Motley Croc show, because you can say shit like that.
Right there, bro.
But it's just not fair.
No, and it's funny that I mean, not funny, obviously, but a lot of my patients are more.
I do remember, Seth.
Because and that they come in because they have respiratory issues from being so big, you know, sleep apnea, what they call Pickwickian syndrome, which pretty much means you're way too big. Stuff like that makes it's hard to breathe. Being obese is actually a restrictive respiratory disease because your body doesn't have anywhere to expand your lungs because there's some crap packed in there, you know, and they come in, oh, cure me. But, you know, a month later, they're back in getting their toe removed from their diabetes or their foot or their freaking, you know.
Right.
I would never say that, Matthew. That's just not because, see, that's what I was telling Ant the other day. I don't have a fight. That's not, I was going to jump back 2 seconds when Jeff and I were not allowed in.
I will fight you.
I know, but I will fight you and laugh my ass off. I love it, Matthew. I love it.
Matt.
But here's the deal.
I love it, Matt.
I love Matt. He's amazing. He's awesome. If you guys don't know him in person, he's one of the coolest fucking guys. I'll always love him. He's my homie. I love Matthew.
Nice.
I don't have like me and Ant and I are friends, and he's gay. That's his word. If he wants to joke around and call me that's fine. I don't have a dog in that fight, so I can't say that. And I understand what that word is. I know exactly what that word means and why they call them that, and that's disgusting. So I'm not going to say that. But in our defense as Gen X, we called everybody that when we were a kid. We had no idea what the word meant when we were in 4th grade.
Yeah, there was that word and also retard. We flew those words around. Like
those words were thrown around like you called everybody that. You call your teacher that if you're pissed off.
Right, and so nothing was really meant by it either at that point.
No.
It was just.
But we were kids. We didn't think about what we were saying, and it wasn't. Yeah, but nowadays that's not even that word is if everybody's joking. If I'm making a joke and I'm with my gay friends and I use it, we're joking and I'm telling them about something I heard. It's funny. But derogatively to somebody is a horrible thing to say, and that's wrong. And in the same sense, most people are intelligent, and don't ever give anybody ever power over you at all with words. And like I've seen a lot of people that these victims that get tattooed, so they can be like, I'm just put down because I'm tattooed, and they don't understand my expression. But let me tell you something. Jeff and I got stopped, and I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. We weren't even allowed into the Bush Wildlife Center in South Florida.
That's true.
This woman stopped us at the door and said, well, now we're supposed to be there. I'm doing all the shirts for the fucking event, the Croc Fest event. I'm there under Colette and all those people, and they're stopping me and Jeff from going in. They're like, "Oh, excuse me, what are you doing here? This is do you know where you guys are?" Now we could have ran around like, "Oh my god, they judged us and stuff." We didn't do that. I just thought it was funny that someone's that small-minded enough to think that way, right?
Yep.
And so we laughed about it. We're like, "Well, you can go get Colette," and they're like, "Oh, Troy, Jeff, what's up?" And they brought us up. "Oh, I'm so sorry." "Oh, now you're sorry." And they do look at us because we're grimy, because we're inked up. But in our day, we were grimy. I was only tattooed so you wouldn't talk to me. Nowadays, people paint themselves up with all kinds of stupid shit so they can walk around and tell each other that your tattoos are cool. I would never say that to Jeff. I would never say that to Jake. Nobody. I would never walk up to another man and go, "I like your ink,
bro." You get those in prison.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, get out of here.
They start pulling up your clothes so they can see shit better, and it's like, when did it become okay to just touch somebody in public?
Yeah, that never.
Yeah, no.
Don't ever touch me in public. No.
I mean, I know.
It's awesome, Flo.
I saw that. That's amazing.
Oh, dude, I got kicked off Twitter for a month for telling Marjorie Taylor Greene I hope she gets taint cancer. So that was I get kicked off stuff all the time.
Oh my god, you know how hard I had to keep this Motley Croc show on when we were going through 2020? You couldn't say anything on here, man. They fucked me up 4 times. I couldn't even broadcast. That's why Nate had to do the show a couple times without me, because I was completely blocked from it. So unless I was to drive all the way down to Nate's house and sit behind his camera, and even then if they saw me, they'd probably shut him down too. And I'll tell you what, there's topics we've got on that we were not even we're right down the middle with stuff, and they have shut me off. They have kicked my whole. It has been kicked off. One word, a bot did it, because the bot handles, even though I'm using a separate company now, that it's a little bit harder to do, but they still do it. That's why I'm real touchy about what we can and can't say, because I don't like not having freedom of speech.
That's what
I'm a firm believer that you can do whatever you want. Don't hurt anyone. Yep. You can hate a person for being gay. You can hate a person for being black. You can hate us for having tattoos. You can hate all you want. You just can't do anything about it. So sit in your house, sit in your front yard, and just hate. You can even look mean at us like this.
Yep, that's what I
don't care. It's free. You're free to love. You're free to hate. You're not free to hurt. So those people like that go around and not let anybody say what they want to say and ban free speech of the way they feel about something, and then that's the way I look at it, man. Right. You can't do that. Everybody in America has a right to say what they want to say, to have that right, and that's just where we're at with it. So
you know what they say,
and you don't have to agree with it.
He's got one, and most of them stink.
I think that's the thing. Like, I think where we got off kill a little bit over the last
very true
10
Matthew.
years is like, okay, so if your opinion differs from mine, it's not the end of the world. Like, that's your right. It is to some your people. Opinion. I know. Dude, I'm just saying, like,
they gotta buy a sign. They gotta put the sign up on the building that says "Safe Space."
Or they can't
do this. Or every place should be a safe space for everybody.
Or they should be. Or like they plaster their car in it. Like, I'm totally cool with your opinion. Like, honestly, sometimes it's cool to hear other people's opinions and perspectives, because maybe it'll open yours up a little bit. Who knows? So I don't think we should immediately just be like, screw it, and just close the door the moment somebody's opinion differs from ours, or their life is a little bit different.
Or we should not have to specify safe spaces for any living human being in the United States.
No,
if you have somebody hurting somebody, you get them the fuck off the street. That's what you do.
That's right. Yep, exactly. If somebody is bullying you, hurting you, taunting you, verbally abusing you, then
you should get reprimanded like when you were a kid. You took them in the bathroom, you beat the shit out of them. That's what you did to them.
Get rid of the problem so that those people don't have to have or feel like they're not comfortable. Like,
so I'm going to say this.
But that also flips on the other side. The people that need those safe spaces are the ones that are all up in our faces, because we may just say, hey, we don't agree with that, but it's okay. And then we get in trouble.
Well, let me tell you something, because you're going to have to start talking about telepathy here. We got a little bit of time left. But when we were kids, man, when we were growing up, like I'm a firm believer, and I say it all the time, but I believe that we need bullies in life. Bullies are what corrects it's the pecking order. Abusive bullies are different, right? So you can be bullied a little bit. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid, but it made me a different person. You know what I'm saying?
Toughen me up.
That's what I feel like. I'm not saying that constant ridicule and torture is. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying some bullying is like, they'll call you a name or call me a bitch or a girl because I had long hair, whatever. But if we saw somebody hurting somebody else so horribly, the shit that we would do when we were kids is unfucking believable. We would catch those motherfuckers, man. And we would just, you want to talk about mafia moves in the bathroom? We would beat the fuck out of them in that bathroom, dude. I remember the time my mom got a phone call because this guy was harassing one of my sisters for being Asian. I hung him on a goddamn barbed wire fence after I ran him over with my horse. We were lethal little bastards when we were little because you're a motherfucker. And you know what? I bet that kid never did a thing again because he not one time fucked with my family ever again. He learned a valuable lesson that day, man.
Yeah, we were definitely badasses in the 80s, man. I can't.
That's how you did it, man.
Have a baseball bat in their back seat on the floor, or it was just, we didn't put up with shit.
And you shouldn't. I never went around fucking with people. I was never that problem. I never did that. I never was like bullying and hurt. It just wasn't my thing when I was young. I just didn't like that. I never did like that. Anybody who knew me, I just never liked that. That wasn't cool for any reason at all. And we were already fighting. We were already fighting a large, crooked, practiced incorrectly religion at that time, where anything we did was we were pieces of shit. So we were already fighting that battle. So underdogs were important to me. People who didn't get a fair shot of being looked at in the right direction, And I think that's important when you think about it. But Brittany, we got to stop talking about this, and we got to talk about. I want to hear your story real quick about telepathy with animals.
We don't have a lot of time for
being
that
able
now.
to talk with us.
I know, but 9 minutes before the show ends.
Well, then we'll just not talk about it. But I think you should touch a little on it.
You'll have to save it. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, and it's something that I always just found really interesting to know that there was real scientific study being done about telepathy between humans and animals understanding us and being able to communicate with us through our brain. And the deeper you go into that research, what's really fascinating is when you go into even talks with Plato about Atlantis, the people in Atlantis, according to Plato, basically they used
Play-Doh.
That's the first thing I thought. It was like Play-Doh. I love the smell of that stuff. Sorry,
I do too. I like how salty it was.
That's his name, folks.
Right,
Guy talks about
Plato, the philosopher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you clarifying?
Well, I think it's interesting because sometimes Jeff knows because when his dog comes up and he just looks at him, he's talking to him. Jeff knows what he wants. So,
but the thing is,
we're probably just blind to it, but we are perceiving what they're saying.
Well, but here's the thing, right? So if you really dig deep into this is where it gets really fascinating. So abductees who are abducted from extraterrestrials will tell you that they do not move their mouths. They speak to me within my brain. I can actually hear them speaking. And then if you look into the studies that have been going on for over 100 years of animal telepathy with humans, the understanding that animals are actually trying to speak to us, like through our brain. And then they were actually able to do several testings to see that there were different brain waves within the animal that were functioning, and that there were certain humans that had the same type of reaction within their brains that were functioning the same way, which would then explain, is it possible for us to have the telepathy to animals as well as ourselves? So they were running experiments with humans, and there were humans that were actually able, at a more high functioning level of brain activity, be able to actually hear what the next person was saying, like within their thoughts. So you ever hear those people talk about clairvoyance where they're like, I already can picture what you're thinking because you're saying it in your mind and I can actually hear what you're saying? That's an actual true study where people are actually on a higher functioning level of brain activity where they can actually hear what you're saying. So there is a theory. And although science argues it and they believe it's more in the pseudoscience, there are actual scientists that have dabbled in it and have come out successful with the ability of animals trying to speak with us within their mind, thinking that they can. And so for me, I just wonder, how far back in history did we close ourselves off to not listen to animals anymore, or to listen to one another, to where you have the stories of Atlantis and the people, the Atlanteans, being able to speak via telepathy through their mind where their mouths don't move. You have abductees that talk about all different types of extraterrestrial beings, tall grays, all the way through to the and I can't think of their names right now, but they look more like elves from Lord of the Rings. I cannot think of the name of the alien, and if you guys know it, put it in the comments because I've just drawn a blank.
You're the damn ufologist.
I know, but you have to understand there are lots of names for aliens out there, okay? The Nordic race. I got it. The Nordic race of aliens, they are white-haired,
Oh,
blue-eyed,
I thought
pale
Nordics
skin.
were like the Vikings and stuff.
No, they're called the Nordic race because of this, because they are literally like 8 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin.
Yeah, but
they're the
But
Nordic race.
Vikings
That's
were
what
not.
they're called.
Vikings were only about 5'7" to 5'8". Those were big men back then. Look at
They were
them.
mean as hell.
No, yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but as far as like the extraterrestrial side,
They
they're
weren't
called
like the
Nordic race.
Icelanders and shit. They're fucking goddamn.
But they also
The
they
Scottish
just
were
do
big motherfuckers too.
telepathy, like they speak through the mind. So for me, the deeper you go into this, you actually start to learn. And they did a study with children that were considered high functioning autistic, to where if you would put them in a room, these kids were communicating solely by brain. They were not speaking, but yet everybody in the room knew exactly what they were doing and what they were going to do. And they interacted and played together without a single word being spoken. And then later on, when asked, it was talked about that they were actually talking to one another, but they could hear each other throughout their thoughts. So I find it extremely fascinating that you go deep into this whole of telepathy. And although we're told that this is ridiculous and it's pseudoscience, I almost feel like it's an agenda not to allow us to speak within our minds, because that might be an advancement within our brain and we're using more of our brain power. You know what I mean? So it's like they just want to keep us dumb. Like I think that the more you keep doing it, the more you're dumbing our brains down to where we're easier to control. Imagine a society where we were able to speak without using our words, like from our mouth. We talked within our mind. That's a massive amount of our brain power that we'd be using to do such. So it's an actual study. It's a true science that's been going on for years and years and years. And in fact, they've used it within the government. I'm sure Jake, sitting right next to you, can agree to this. And I can't remember the name of the actual program, but they actually did it to,
MK Ultra is a little bit different. That was more about sleepers, but
no, this one is
you mean like the man who goats kind of thing?
Sort of, but it was more or less. Hold on, I'm. It's gonna be there. I literally just talked about this 3 days ago. Son of a gun. The name of it in the government. Anyway, they basically do it to put that person visually in their mind in that location, and they put them all. Come on, Jake, help me out here. Not astral projection. It's they. Oh, golly Moses, this is gonna bother me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Son of a gun. Judy, I just mentioned this to you as well because I was reading about it. If you remember what I was saying, please let me know. But it's an actual study. They used it within the government back in the 50s. A lot of times to be in places to see where they were holding bombs. And they would put people in
That's astral projection.
Yeah, that's astral projection.
But it's not astral project. But it's not. It's remote viewing. Remote viewing. Thank you, Judy. Yeah, not promote. It's remote viewing. So they would actually do a study, and by doing so, they training the brains and the minds of the individuals. They would be given a file, and that file they would sit and they would have a piece of paper and only a couple of data points and location, and they would actually have to go within their mind to that location, and they were giving out actual stats, but they were doing it throughout the power of their brain. And it was an actual study being done by the government, and they used it a lot during I believe World War II, and then so on after that. They may even still be using it now, most likely. Well, again, I mean,
there's so much weird shit.
So who knows what else they're using it on?
There's so much weird shit out there when it comes to that. Like,
I mean,
governments from the Russian government studying Tibetan Sasquatch in their secret service studying the mountain yetis up there. What the fuck? Why would you be? What the hell's going on there? I mean, that's government stuff that was released. That's not. What are you studying? Like, we're really in the dark, man. We get up and we eat. We get in our car and we drive to our gas station. We get a Polar Pop, don't we, Tara? I know you're watching. And then we get home and then we try to have a little sandwich. And we bathe our kids, walk our dogs, give each other a little hug and a tickle. And we go to sleep. We wake up. We're very small. The world is huge. And there's a lot of shit out there that we are really blind to. We are really blind to.
Taught what somebody picks for us to be taught. And that is actual fact. So when you look at history or history lessons in college or in school, you understand we have all these theories and all of these ideas and historical facts. But in the end of the day, a group of elites sit there and they say whatever, location that they're in or wherever they are, and they get to say, No, all of these theories and everything, yeah, that's just too much. We don't want to, that's too much information for all these people to have to choose. And then they're going to have to make up their mind. Here, we're just going to pull this one. This one makes the most sense. And that's what we're going to use and put that into the school books. And that's what's being taught across the entire United States. And that's frustrating me because then when you bring up another theory, somebody will say, oh, I didn't even know that theory existed. So you have your history book, but you never went beyond that to see what other theories were, what other philosophers may have written about, or what other, professors may have had a theory from somebody else's theory. Exactly. That is how you expand your knowledge and can make a better judgment for yourself. Don't just take it at face value at like 100%. One book, one perspective, or, I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, well, my professor said this and I really believe it. That's great. Believe him. But that doesn't mean that your professor would tell you to your face, don't read anybody else's books. Go read everybody else's books. Go do what you need to do.
Knowledge is power.
That's right, man. That's right.
And that's scary to people in power. Just remember that.
Matthew, I agree. And my cousin's, one of his best friends are buried in Costa. So I've been to Costa a few times, actually, into the cemetery. I have a friend out there. And Flavia and I actually spent the night in the devil's chair.
Yep. Matt's next quote is very true, too.
I'll send you that. Yes.
It's very true. You do have to open your mind. It's a trained thing. And I honestly want to start training Finn. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I want to start introducing my son to it because I think he has the ability to do it. I think if I taught him, I think he has the ability to do it, to be quite honest with you.
He says some crazy stuff, man. When he's like, wow, how'd you know that, bro? It's pretty cool.
Sometimes he'll look at you and he'll say, I thought it might. Did I tell you he did this to me? He said, did you know bees don't see in color? He did this to me one day. He didn't Google it because it was a time that he was on Google restriction because somebody was Googling too much history and he was talking about it in school. And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he goes, yeah, you should look it up. I thought about it in my mind and I just know that it's true. And you know what? That darn kid was right. And I asked his teachers, I'm like, are you guys learning about bees in school? And they're like, no, why? And I was like, well, he told me that he was pretty sure bees don't see color.
That's because he was a bumblebee in his past life. That's it.
That or he was the first. The other thing he said to me too one day, he came to me, he goes, hey, did you know the Egyptians were the first to create bowling? And I said, what? No, that can't be. He goes, yeah, I'm serious. Did you know they're the first
See you later, bowling? Seth.
He goes, my brain. He's like, my brain told me you should probably look that up and see if I'm right. And damn it, he was right. I'm like, you know what, kid? You're getting passages and messages from the other side that are telling you shit. Is King Tut here in the house telling you that he created bowling? Like, what the fudge is going on right now?
Because kids aren't taught to be jaded early. They're open to everything. No. They have wild, great imaginations, and they let themselves, believe what they see or what they think or feel. Whereas, we just choose to block it out because we're adults and it's nonsense or it's, it can't happen. And we discourage some kids and they grow up to be the same adults that we do.
Or their creator tells you it's not real. That kind of shit happens too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Children should be left to do what they like to do.
I think like I got yelled at people. I'm like, screw you. But I want to teach my kids everything that they could possibly know. I don't want one narrative. I don't want just one way. If you want to know about it, I'm going to teach you about it. Here's a book. We're going to read about it. Here's some cool history. You should know about it. And I find it fascinating. Like, so Troy, you gave him that Buddha statue, right? Which he just,
yes, I did. He loves it. Of course.
It's the coolest thing. So now what he's doing, because he absolutely loves exploration of archaeology, like what archaeologists do, how they go into tombs and they uncover things. So I read to him a lot about like the Valley of the Kings and Howard Carter, and like he prevailed. He kept saying, I'm not going to listen to what everybody's telling me that there's nothing left to be found in the Valley of the Kings. I don't believe that. I'm going to push forward and push forward and push forward. And so Howard Carter proved the perfect point that just because you have, something at surface level, there could be something deeper that could change history forever. And guess what? He went below the surface level and changed history forever by finding King Tut's tomb, right? So I'm sharing all this with Finn, and now Finn's obsessed with archaeology, right? And the discovery of something, left to not be seen. So he's taken this monk that Troy, you gave him, and he has taken one of my tubs that I keep all my, blankets in, and he's wrapped him up only to the point to where you see the top of the Buddhist head, because there was a statue of a monk. And after further investigation, after a CT scan, they actually saw and found out that there was a mummified body inside the monk statue. It was a monk that had been mummified and made into a statue. So he is obsessed about that. And so he's taken this statue and he's wrapped it up and he's placed it into the movie theater room in the dark. And I had to come behind him and film him because he was an archaeologist on an archaeological dig site, and he had heard about the rumors of a mummified monk, and he was going to find it. And so we had to go creep in the dark with this flashlight. And then he goes, I found it. There he is. Don't touch him. I'm the first one to find him. So we did this whole like Indiana Jones thing.
Oh, it sounds like Josh Gates.
It was amazing. But it just cracked me up because he put
you let him watch that.
I had to
you let him watch
it.
that expedition show, don't you?
No. Well, yeah, he's watched Josh Gates a couple of times, but he's actually watched Indiana Jones.
He loves that stuff, doesn't he? He loves that stuff.
I was obsessed when I was his age with archaeology.
Loves it. Me too.
All I wanted to do was dig up dinosaur bones and arrowheads and everything else that was around in Connecticut. And my mom set me up with these people who took me on some archaeological digs, which was just, I mean, I must have been maybe somewhere between like 8 and 10. So it was like the highlight of my life.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love it. I love archaeology. There's not a lot of money to be made in it, but God dang it, if it's not the best thing out there. Like, I mean, imagine finding some of those like mosaic floors that hasn't been seen in thousands of years, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm
tools or bones or weapons. I mean, I'd be out in the woods, digging in the ground, cording it off, making a grid, just by myself. I love that.
Awesome,
archaeology
Matt.
is amazing.
Rad, dude.
Matt, you and I should sit down sometime because I actually worked for the RMS museum and I got to see all the artifacts, and I played a person who actually died on the ship. So I love the Titanic. For the longest time, I'm like, maybe I was a person on the Titanic because I feel really oddly connected to it. It's very strange. It would be a good conversation.
Michelle
spiders.
Oh my God.
We have a version of those in Arizona. Okay. And they're fucking big as shit, dude. Like, and I remember when I was a kid and I saw one it got into the house when I lived in Arizona, and I caught it in this jar, and it scraped in that jar all night long, dude. It was terrifying.
Wow.
Terrifying, dude.
I
know about those. Those are just nasty, dude. Nasty.
Yep. We had like
amethyst would be pretty, Michelle.
When I lived there, it scared the crap out of me. I'd never seen one before.
Yeah, Jake's probably dealt with a camel spider. Have you?
And a camel toe.
He said camel spiders, and I'm sure he's dealt with some camel toe too. Yes, you'll probably hear that shortly. For those of you, for us that are talking, Brittany, me, and Jeff, there's a 10-second delay to the show as it's projected. 10 seconds. So
we're catching up.
Right. So that's why we see a lot of that. We're getting ready to go off. So we're actually 7 minutes over. Camel toes for the W, for the win. We are we're gonna wrap it up tonight, and we'll touch on some more of that stuff next week. I think it'd be kind of cool to get into that and talk a little bit more about it. I did want to talk about how lucky that girl was that somebody was able to save her life today when she was going to jump off the bridge, and Bon Jovi just happened to be there. I thought that how cool was that, because that's just a rare thing. Like, because he just happened to be there, and he really is a cool dude. He's not. I know he's whatever people say about it, but he's never been, even when we were growing up with him and listening to Bon Jovi as a kid, he's never been a dirty. He's always been a really cool dude. And he's just a pretty giving person if you read about him. And there's a documentary coming out. It's about Christopher Reeves. And it's made by DC. It's made by DC. I can't wait to see it.
I want to see it so bad. I cried in that damn trailer. I was like,
I know the trailer. I was like, holy shit, he did. But he got a lot of hate too. We're going to touch on that next time we talk about that. We're going to tell you why.
But I don't care what anybody says. He's Superman. He is still the original Superman, the one and only.
Yeah, you got it, Flo. No problem.
Glad we could help you, Flo.
Love you too, Matt. Glad you came in. And I just want to say that go see the movie Beetlejuice. It's a lot of fun. Don't go in there for blockbuster of the year thing, but it's funny. The characters did a great job in that movie. Michael Keaton's amazing at Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Please, dude, it's fucking awesome. It's worth seeing.
Hilarious, man. He did so many funny movies that never get
seen. Love you too, Michelle. Love you, Matt.
Yeah, he's did good one too.
Mom.
Good Christmas movie. What about Jack
Frost? Yeah.
Gunsmoke.
Jinx.
I remember that when they were building. He worked for the car plant in Detroit.
Yep.
He is Batman. Nobody can top Michael Keaton as Batman. Michael Keaton, if you ever watch this, I adore you as Batman to date, and it's the only Batman I will own in my home. It's him as Batman. Val Kilmer was great. Listen, he was great. But
if you
Michael
want a good
Keaton
tearjerker, a really good tearjerker to really give you a perspective on life, it was called My Life with Michael Keaton. You got to watch the movie. It was about him. You just have to see it. It's a good movie.
What was the other one? Multiplicity was a funny one. If you like a good, good comedy, my good. He's like, I like pizza.
Yeah, I still say that all the time. When I get pizza, it's funny.
Oh, I will. I'm working out the date, Matt. 100%. You'll be here, bro. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, Multiplicity was amazing. A copy of a copy.
Oh my god, it was the best. How many copies of it did you make? Well, I have one for laundry. Oh my god, such a classic. Just a good, funny 80s comedy.
Yep. Good stuff.
Love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end the stream, and I'm glad that everybody came out and supported tonight. Thanks for all your comments and hanging out with us, Matthew. I will get with you on that. And Jeff, Brittany, I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. It's pretty cool, and it's good to see everybody. Ricky Martin. Speaking of Batman, y'all heard of the Florida Joker?
He's in here right now, actually.
Yep, the Florida Joker. But I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks for coming in late, Ricky. We appreciate you.